Bucs D-line this week in practice logs. How much can you glean if you're not really going full contact on the lines of scrimmage?
You're not going live, but it's pretty close to live in practice, just because the level of competition goes up when you have practices against another team. It's not finished, like I said, at the end, but yeah, it's a great evaluation. It's not a game, but it's just like probably between a full padded practice amongst yourself between that and a game. So great opportunity to evaluate, and the best part is you get it in a little bit more controlled environment, so the incidence of injury is a lot less.
Right, as Doug Peterson, Todd Bowles both have expressed, they don't want any fights breaking out in practice.
Yeah, well, it's great to say that, and
we'll see.
To hope for that. But the reality is that look, there's a lot of alpha dogs out there, and
look, there's pushing and shoving. Fine, don't swing a closed fist at a helmet.
Let's not forget last year at Tampa. Tampa's offensive line was talking some smack and beating up on the Jaguars' defensive front. You don't think that's remembered?
Sure it
is. It will be. I like what they did in acquisitions. I love the addition on offense. I mean, Gabe Davis, I think, is a much better fit for this offense than Calvin Ridley would have ever have been.
Why is that?
Just because he fits. Put it this way: Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk are a little bit similar. They're smaller, shifty, slot type of receiver, the high percentage type of throws. And you don't need two of those guys. And also on top of that, I said it last year, look, you got Parker Washington that you're developing. So there's another guy kind of in that same role. But what the offense lacked was really a consistent deep threat. And Gabe Davis has got a real uncanny knack, and he's crafty to get deep. He's not like he's a burner, but he's got the size. He's crafty. His average yards per catch, what is it, like 17?
It's been north of like 14 and a half every year he's played.
It's unbelievable.
Usually over 15.
Which is crazy good. The touchdowns, scores a ton of them. So I really felt that this offense needed to have somebody that was in that category. So I think this is a really good fit. And I also think from a personality standpoint, Gabe is a better fit for this team than Calvin Ridley was. And just to be honest with you. And, of course, we put Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side. Holy cow, you got two guys that can get deep in different ways because Brian can fly. Like the addition of Mitch Morse, you had to do something in center. Would I've liked to have seen maybe a little bit more on the offensive line? Yeah. But also at the same time, you've got to develop some of the players that you got. And I think there's some players on this football team that are going to develop, especially in the interior three. I think you've got three very solid tackles right now. Anton Harrison's obviously a stud, I think, in my book, future left tackle for this franchise. Want to see a little more out of Cam Robinson so far. I think it's okay.
Do you think there's a battle going on there at left tackle, or is Cam pretty secure?
I think leading up to the game, I would have said no. But I thought Walker Little played really well. Played really well on the left side, played really well on the right side. Is it a true battle? Cam's got to finish more than he did in that game, I can tell you that. He's got to finish more. That's always kind of been one of the knocks, and you probably heard me talk about that before. I love the way at times that he can finish in the run game because he's a big, powerful, strong man. He's got some attitude. But he didn't show that in the preseason game. And so if that's your strong trait and you're not like super talented in other categories, you got to have that strong trait be at the forefront. And it really didn't show for him in the game, so I think he needs to be a little bit better, and I think he will be better. I like Cam. He's got a great personality, self-motivated. But, yeah, I like what they did on offense. I think defensively, kind of surprised a little bit from the release of Darius Williams. He's their best corner last year if you looked at all the stats and the analytics. And they kind of released him and said, we're going to figure it out elsewhere. So,
did they feel, you think, that he just was a better fit as a zone corner and they want to play more man principles or what?
Well, maybe. I think it was probably more of a cap kind of a thing.
Okay.
I'm guessing here. And, one thing about Ryan Nielsen's defense, if you look at some of the acquisitions that they have made in the offseason, and also if you kind of look at his coaching tree and where he comes from, that system really likes the, even kind of going back to the Gus Bradley, they really like the big, long corners that can really get the hands on guys. And if you look at some of the veteran acquisitions, they're kind of in that ballpark. So it didn't surprise me because that wasn't really Darius's strong suit. He didn't have the big, long length and everything. And then his cap number was pretty high. So and also with the expected future signing of Tyson Campbell and Josh, I think they wanted to clear some cap room out of there.
Sure. What do you feel like you've been able to learn about the defense, whatever your idea of what Nielsen wanted to do, specifically in the secondary, which is where he seems to want to focus with how he's going to build this thing? But with the guys that he's brought in, you've seen him now for a few weeks out at training camp going through the offseason. Now you saw him on Saturday night, at least putting it on the field against an opponent for the first time. What do you feel like you've been able to learn about what Nielsen wants that group to look like?
Well, first and foremost, he wants them to play fast. And in order to play fast, you have to be very confident in what your assignment knowledge and everything leading up to that or building into that goes in the week. And I thought that at times last year and the year before that under Mike Caldwell that they weren't sure. And there was a lot of hesitancy with that defense. On top of that, you've got arguably your two best players in a two-point stance that are supposed to be getting after the quarterback. Look, in the Olympics, when you get on a 100-yard dash or 100-meter dash, whatever it's called, the guys aren't starting in a two-point stance. Okay, they're starting in a three-point stance. And so I never really understood, why are we having these guys in a two-point stance? I mean, what do we think? We're going to fool them? Oh, we're not going to rush Josh. Oh, we're not going to rush Trayvon.
Right.
Hell, we're going to rush them. Put their hand in the ground and let's go. Get an advantage on an offensive tackle. So I think it's a defense that's going to be playing fast all around, but then up front being very aggressive with the guys up front. And they're going to give, I think, supreme effort, and that's why they're talking about rolling 8 guys, through the front so that they can roll with a lot of effort. And then hey, look, you get a little bit tired, get out, get your win, and then come back in later.
Right. Play with your hair on fire and take a rest when you need it because we got guys.
Little surprised at the switch of Foye and Devin Lloyd.
How is that going to play out? If they're in a 4-2-5, which it seems like they're going to be a lot with 5 defensive backs, how much difference between the 2 linebacker positions is there if you only have 2 on the field?
A little different. I'll tell you this. Look, when you play base downs, you're about 35% of the snaps in base down. So it's very different when base down from the will to the Mike.
Right.
The Mike typically can have an uncovered offensive lineman in front of him. The will is a guy that has essentially he's protected. He's got a nose, a 3 technique, and then also another defensive end. Anyway, for people that, just to simplify it, he's covered up more. He has the ability to run free a little bit more. You go back and kind of look at some of the Jaguar linebackers of the past. Telvin Smith could play will, fast as all get out, weighed about 214 pounds, but it was okay because he played the will, which was covered up. Okay? And Posluszny played the Mike. Okay, a little bit more bigger, physical.
Stouter.
Kind of pounded a little bit. And I guess that they felt that was a better role for Devin Lloyd, but I was kind of surprised at it because when you have a guy who is literally a borderline Pro Bowl, all-pro type of guy like Foye has been, a lot of times you might not want to move that guy. So that's one of those things that I'm not against it because of what you're saying, Mike, and that when you get to 2 linebackers, it's a little different, but I want to see it. Because I think there's a comfort level with Foye being the Mike because that's what he's been.
Right.
And you go back to Foye's interview, and he was talking about it, and you can tell that he wasn't exactly jumping up and down going, yes, I'm so glad I'm playing Will. He wasn't doing that. He's kind of like, I'm kind of surprised by it, but what's best for the team?
Hey, Mia here, and thanks so much for watching 1010XL Jaguars. For even more coverage of the Big Cats, be sure to subscribe to 1010XL Jaguars.